Now, on Behind the Investigation with Atlanta News First Investigates, children without stable housing chronically missing from class, benefits stolen from families in need. A woman sold her timeshare, but bills keep piling up. FBI agents raid the wrong house, a controversial reading method taught in classrooms. Atlanta News First Investigates.
Welcome to Behind the Investigation with Atlanta News First Investigates, as we reveal problems and solutions impacting our community.
Let's first talk about kids missing school. We uncovered 1 in 3 kids are chronically absent in Georgia. Experts say the link between housing insecurity and school attendance must be addressed.
The motel off Powers Ferry Place was home for Jasmine Burse and her 4 kids.
A room that has 1 bed, so I have to decide if my kids are gonna sleep in the bed or if I'm gonna sleep in the bed.
She did her best
I cried a lot.
to make ends meet after moving to Atlanta 3 years ago.
My thoughts were ensure that I can cover the cost of the hotel, ensure that I can cover the 3 meals for today, and ensure that I can cover the gas because my source of income at that time was driving for Lyft.
As her focus shifted to food and daily motel costs, school became less of a priority.
Out of the school year, I believe they attended maybe 3 months out of the entire school year.
3 months?
Yes, out of the entire school year.
Her kids are enrolled in the Atlanta public school system, where 19,000 students were chronically absent in 2023, missing more than 15 days. Atlanta News First Investigates analyzed state data which revealed APS saw the highest rate of chronic absenteeism in the metro at 35%. DeKalb, Clayton, and Henry County schools nearly 30%. Although the problem is far from new, education experts warn chronic absenteeism post-pandemic is exacerbated by an affordable housing crisis, like here in Georgia, where a minimum wage worker would need to work as many as 3.5 full-time jobs just to afford fair market rent. Jasmine could not afford an apartment, meaning her kids were a part of the nearly 1,900 APS students needing homes. Federal research released this year revealed children with an experience of homelessness from low-income families show worse academic and social engagement problems.
What do you need help with?
Jasmine says she knows it firsthand. Her oldest kids were no longer on the honor roll. Her youngest elementary kids struggled to read.
They're not at the reading level they should be, and it all goes back to being housing insecure.
Correct, because the reading, their foundation is in the kindergarten and pre-K era, and because I didn't have the time or I didn't have the energy to sit and read with them as I should because I was focusing on providing, that lack was there for them.
Parents do the best they can with what they have.
Charity Trowbridge, Director of Attendance Improvement for Fulton County Schools.
When students miss school, they're not just missing the academic work, right? Because it's the cumulative effect that becomes more significant.
And sometimes it goes unnoticed until it's too late.
Yes. And then we have major gaps.
Once the district saw some of its highest numbers of kids chronically missing class,
That was our indicator of, okay, this is an absenteeism issue that we really need to dig further into to understand so that we can better address it.
her office began individualized student plans with wraparound services like housing resources to tutoring. They focus on kids showing some issues with attendance
Doing locate, assess, connect.
long before the problems become excessive. In the last 3 years, Fulton's chronically absent rate dropped from 37.9% to 22%. For families like Jasmine's, attendance improved when housing did too.
I'm so grateful.
Grateful for groups like Frontline Housing.
We do a lot of outreach, so we'll print out flyers and go hand them out at hotels.
I'll go ahead and send that.
Program Director Sierra Showers and Director Mary Grace King
So this is the children's room.
helped Jasmine move into this Marietta apartment, all made possible through their grant-funded Motel to Home initiative.
Housing, it is a basic need. It's just as important as eating.
Just to see how much families really can grow and change if you give them the resources and are willing to work with them. It's just really heartwarming.
Families already struggling to put food on the table scammed out of their SNAP benefits. That's millions of stolen taxpayer dollars. Atlanta News First investigates what you can do to lock down your accounts.
A single mom with 5 kids, struggling to put food on the counter.
I'm trying to figure it out. And it's just me. I don't have any family here.
LaKenya Moore was at the grocery store in Metro Atlanta when she noticed the funds to feed her family for the month were gone.
So they knew exactly what was on there. 196, then 198, 194, and they went into, it was none left.
6 transactions in 1 minute and 6 seconds in Pennsylvania, Tampa, and Miami.
I've never been to Florida. I've never been to Philadelphia.
The money was from her SNAP benefits account.
It was exactly $1,111 that they took. The full amount within minutes of it being loaded on there.
Moore says she pleaded with the Georgia Department of Human Services to replace the funds, but they told her she missed the deadline.
They just said it was nothing they could do.
That's because federal reimbursement Congress passed in 2022 amid a rise in skimming ended December 2024. Now the responsibility falls on each state.
Kids have no relatives. We're just here. I don't know what to do.
An hour and a half away in Covington, Patrice Hayes is also worried about making food last for the month.
I literally went to Walmart that morning at 10:30, and by 12 o'clock, everything was depleted.
4 transactions across Philadelphia in 1 minute.
$393.
Another mother in Beaufort with 7 children sent us screenshots of fraud on her EBT card in 4 states. 8 stores in 2 minutes at 1:42 in the morning, totaling near $1,700. 5 of the locations in Pennsylvania and Florida match Moore's transactions from 2 weeks before. We made some calls and spoke with 2 of the stores in Pennsylvania, a pizza shop and a tobacco store, both saying they're not involved. In fact, they don't accept EBT cards and weren't even open at the time of some of the transactions. The manager at Pottsville Tobacco and Hookah says people keep calling and begging for their money back and even accusing them of stealing in Google reviews.
Sometimes people cried on the phone and they're really hurting me. And I was like, I'm sorry, I don't know who's doing it. But it's not really the stores.
EBT money is dispersed through the United States Department of Agriculture. A look at its data from 2024 shows an alarming uptick in SNAP fraud across the country. In the first quarter, $43 million stolen. In the last quarter, more than 4 times that, at nearly $200 million stolen. We reached out to the USDA with questions, but did not hear back, so we went to the Food Research and Action Center.
Why isn't there some sort of universal security to stop the theft in the first place?
A lot of people think these EBT cards have all the protections like the private industry has, like chip cards, CVV numbers, expiration dates. But unfortunately, that's just not the case.
In August, the USDA changed standards to allow states to implement SNAP EBT cards with chip technology. But the only 2 states that have started this effort are California and Oklahoma.
It's a slap in the face, because how am I going to feed my children?
For Georgia families barely getting by, they're begging the state to do something.
If you don't want to put any money in the security of these cards, then you go back to the paper stamps. You can't hack that.
Anastasia, is there anything that families can do to protect their benefits?
Right now, Georgia and 14 other states have mobile apps that they can download to lock and unlock their accounts anytime they're going to use their benefits at the grocery store. Also, they advise that you change your PIN right before your benefits are about to drop, just to make sure that you aren't hacked.
To dig deeper into this investigation and others from Atlanta News First Investigates, listen to our Behind the Investigation podcast, available now wherever you listen.
A woman sold her timeshare years ago, but she kept being billed for annual dues. Atlanta News First investigates the risk of using a third-party company to exit your contract.
You keep sending me bills that I don't owe.
Wouldn't it be nice to write a business or a debt collector and tell them to drop dead?
You guys are driving me crazy.
And that is true.
That's why we met with Amelia Roberts Lewis and her daughter. Amelia's old timeshare in California keeps sending bills for annual fees, now totaling nearly $6,000. Under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, consumers have the right to tell a business or a debt collector to stop contacting them.
You need.
It's called the drop dead letter.
To stop contacting.
Which we've conveniently modified.
I am very busy.
And it's almost time to watch my favorite newscast, Atlanta News First.
That's how this story started.
Yeah, you want to say hello?
But it kept getting better.
Say hello, pretty boy. Say Harry.
Like when Amelia introduced us to her 35-year-old parrot, Missy.
Hi, Missy.
If only Missy could talk to the timeshare people who keep sending these bills.
Say drop dead, Missy. Say drop dead. Can you say drop dead to somebody?
Amelia says she doesn't owe the fees because she sold the timeshare when her husband passed away in 2019.
Did you get your value out of it?
I did. I was probably one of the few people that I speak to who brought a timeshare years ago, and honestly, I used it every year.
We're proud to be known.
And what a deal.
Premier all-suite resort hotel.
They bought a timeshare at Tahoe Beach and Ski Club in 1980 and loved it. But after her husband died, Amelia got online and found a timeshare exit company. It's a sketchy industry. This one paid her $2,380 minus a nearly 50% commission, netting $1,200.
So you sold it?
Yeah, I sold it. That's what I keep telling them. I sold this timeshare.
Details. The timeshare exit company recorded the sale, but did not tell Lake Tahoe Beach and Ski Club. They didn't know, and that's why Amelia kept getting those bills.
And then she thought she was done.
Jeff Weir is the president of the Timeshares HOA.
So she contacted a third-party company that didn't have anything to do with our resort. They transferred ownership to another company, and then that company transferred ownership to still another.
Crazy, right? But Weir says it happens a lot. And because of our investigation, Tahoe Beach and Ski Club's board discussed it and identified 17 former owners in the same boat. The board decided to write off their fees totaling $62,000 and move on.
People involved in between now and 2019 just didn't fix it. And at this point, I take responsibility to fix it.
Drop dead.
Forget the drop dead letter.
Not really.
Amelia's $6,000 fee is history. How's that, Missy?
Just call Harry, Atlanta News First. Just call Harry, Atlanta News First.
A 7-year-old boy sleeping in his bed woke up to the sound of a flashbang grenade. Federal agents had raided his home, and it turned out to be the wrong house. The U.S. Supreme Court will decide whether his family can get justice for this mistake, and the case could affect wrong house raids nationwide.
Police search warrant, come to the door!
Innocent families. From Ohio
Police search warrant!
to Missouri,
I just don't understand how they could confuse the addresses.
Kansas,
Guns drawn, there's about 15 cop cars. They're all hiding behind the doors with the guns pointed at my house. They literally came here on a whim thinking that I killed someone.
She and her boyfriend were held in cuffs for an hour before police finally let them go.
Georgia,
Sheriff's officer!
and this home in Atlanta.
I don't feel as if any kid should go through what I went through.
1 second, you're sound asleep. The next second, the FBI is in your bedroom.
1 second I'm asleep, next thing I know, I have a gun pointed in my face.
Gabe Watson was just 7 years old in 2017 when the FBI raided the wrong house in the middle of the night. Did you scream out for your mom? What did you do?
I was actually crying for my mom. I was just crying, hiding under my blankets, holding my hands in the air.
I would fight a lion with my bare hands to protect my child. And the thought of me not being able to get to him, that's the most devastating. As a parent, when you can't protect your child, it's the most devastating feeling ever. In my mind, it was just like, whoever this is, they're coming in to kill us.
Was your hand on the gun or close to it?
At this point, my hand was on the door because they're pulling on the door. The guns is right here, right at my side.
And I was just right here like, please, can I get my son? Can I get my son? And he kept telling me to be quiet, shut up. And I look up, it's such a flashing light, and I just see Swan. I'm like, It can't be SWAT. It can't be SWAT.
Throw me down on the ground, on the floor right here. I was saying to myself, oh my God, I believe they got the wrong house.
The FBI did have a search warrant, but it was for an entirely different address, 3 doors down and across the street. This footage from Atlanta police securing the perimeter is the only video of the raid. You can see the FBI SWAT team walking out of the Martin home. The wrong address clearly visible on the mailbox by the police cars.
Moving down the road. They said we're moving down the road.
So we're not holding perimeter for them while they search?
They said they're moving down the road.
The agents went to the next block and raided the house that was on the original warrant. Your door was off the hinges, right?
It was.
You had no way to secure your home that night.
I spent the night on the couch facing that door because it was open.
And you had no idea what was coming next?
Didn't have any idea what was coming next.
So they knocked the door down, and yes, it was a shocking experience, but in the end, no one was hurt, and it didn't really cost you anything. What has this cost you?
This costed me my childhood, you know?
This is the FBI photo of the target house from earlier surveillance. And this is the Martins house the FBI SWAT team photographed the day before the raid. You went to court, and the court ruled in favor of the FBI.
Yes.
And then you went to the appeals court, and the appeals court ruled in favor of the FBI.
Yes.
And now we've gone all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, and they've taken the case.
They've taken the case. They've taken the case. And then I just think about my son, he's 7, and just the trauma he went through, and just for finally somebody just to hear us out, just hear us.
Just 4 months after the Martin family raid.
This house?
Just 2 counties away.
This house? Sheriff's officer!
A Henry County SWAT team raided the wrong house and detained the innocent 78-year-old homeowner.
Show me your hands! Get on the ground! Get on the ground now!
Just like the FBI raid at the Martins,
Stand by, stand by, stand by, stand by.
the SWAT team relied on directions from the GPS on an agent's phone.
Missed it.
And the same federal appeals court in Atlanta ruled the police could not be sued. After this happened to your family, it has happened to family and family and family.
And we're just sitting back shaking our heads like, when is it gonna stop? And hopefully we are the ones that'll help to make that change. You know, we can't do anything about what happened to us, but we can stop it, hopefully, from happening to someone else.
Underperforming first graders struggling to read are offered an intervention program which uses controversial teaching methods banned in several states. We uncover its potential long-term impact on kids.
That's why.
That's why.
Reading does not come easy for Sophia Quinn.
Think about that.
The 14-year-old struggles with dyslexia. A few years ago, her first grade teacher in Gwinnett County, Georgia, took notice and offered to help.
Her teacher approached me and said, there's this wonderful program. We select one kid from each class. I was so thankful.
After 20 weeks in the program, Sophia's reading did not improve.
What's the cheapest pet you got?
It seemed to be getting worse. And what frustrated her mother the most, the school called her daughter a success story and suggested passing her on to the next grade.
So now all the alarms are going off, and I'm expressing my frustration with how are we passing her but she can't read.
Sophia was enrolled in a program called Reading Recovery. It's one-on-one instruction for the lowest performing students in first grade struggling to read. Once hailed as one of the most effective intervention models used in Georgia and across the country for decades, an Atlanta News First investigation uncovered evidence reading recovery could be harmful to children.
The findings were not in the direction that reading recovery expected.
Henry May is a professor at the University of Delaware. Reading Recovery asked him to conduct the largest study of its program ever, tracking thousands of students in multiple states over 13 years. Last year, he published his results, showing the short-term impact to students largely positive. But then,
it wasn't until we looked at the kids' outcomes years later when they reached 3rd and 4th grade that we saw that the results had completely flipped. There was a negative impact of reading recovery.
While at least 19 states have banned 3Qing or walked away from reading recovery over the past few years, An Atlanta News First investigation uncovered Georgia State University continues to use it, running a training center for teachers to learn reading recovery methods to bring back to the classroom. Since 2023, school districts in 5 states, including Georgia, had paid the university $243,000 for the instruction.
If you have something that has research that shows that it is harmful, not only just not beneficial, but harmful to children, it should be banned.
Dr. Caitlin Dooley is the chair of the university's Department of Early Childhood and Elementary Education.
It's been around for a long time. It has a strong scientific background, and so we are offering it when it's in demand. And there are still districts that are requesting that we provide that training, and we believe that it works.
The Reading Recovery Council of North America, which develops the curriculum, and Dr. Dooley both tell Atlanta News First Investigates they consider Professor May's study flawed, pointing out that 75% of its original participants dropped out.
So they could have had 1 lesson with reading recovery, or they could have had 50 lessons. We don't know from the way this study was written up.
No matter how we analyze the data, and no matter what other data we bring to bear, there is no denying that we see a negative impact of reading recovery. And the only explanation that I think is plausible is that reading recovery actually does harm students.
You can get more impactful investigations like this sent right to your phone. Subscribe to our weekly investigative newsletter. Just text newsletter to 470-777-WANF.
Thanks for watching Behind the Investigation with Atlanta News First Investigates.